Former President Donald Trump is speaking out about calls in the U.S. for TikTok to be banned meantime.
Yeah, the U.S. House is considering the move unless TikTok is separated from its China-based parent company, ByteDance. Back in 2020, Donald Trump also said that he wanted to ban it. But a day earlier on CNBC, he said banning TikTok would just help one of its competitors.
I consider Facebook to be an enemy of the people, along with a lot of the media. I think Facebook has been I think Facebook has been very bad for our country, especially when it comes to elections.
CNN's Alana Treen joins us live now from Washington with this story. I mean, it's interesting because Donald Trump, when he was president, he sort of spearheaded these initial efforts to ban TikTok. Now there's been this dramatic sort of about face, talking about the fact that banning TikTok would only help its competitor Facebook. Just give us your sense of why the dramatic change here from Donald Trump's perspective.
Right. Well, it is interesting, as you pointed out, because he had been so forcefully against TikTok while president, wanting it to be banned or to be sold. And now he's singing a different tune, as you said. So I did catch up with the Trump advisor this morning, and I was asking the same question, Zane, which is, where is this coming from? And there's a few things. One, they pointed out that a lot of this has to do with Facebook. And we did see Donald Trump in that clip you just aired rail against Facebook as an enemy of the people. The concern is that if something were to happen to TikTok, if it were sold or banned in the country, that its users would migrate to Facebook. And that's where they said a lot of this is stemming from. And part of that is because Donald Trump has been very critical of Facebook for years now. He blames them in large part for what he argues is having interfered in the 2020 election. Of course, there's evidence that is opposed to that. But he also has never really liked Mark Zuckerberg. We've heard him rail against the Meta CEO repeatedly in the past. So that's part of it. I think the other part as well is this is political. I mean, there are so many voters in the country, and young voters, I should say, who love TikTok, who are a big fan of the app. And Donald Trump knows that if it were to be banned, that would be something that would be placed, or the blame would be placed on President Joe Biden. And it's a key demographic as well that his campaign is trying to go after ahead of a general election rematch in November. So I think that's a big part of it as well. But I can tell you, look, Donald Trump and his comments this morning, as well as he's been socialing about it or posting on his website, Truth Social, is definitely causing headaches for people on Capitol Hill who for many years now have been trying to figure out what to do with this app, especially because they believe it presents a national security risk. And when I did speak with some of Donald Trump's advisors today about this, they said that unlike with other bills in the past, we saw him do this with the border bill, where he really tanked it by repeatedly criticizing it and speaking out against it. They say he doesn't feel exactly the same way about this particular TikTok ban, that if Congress decides that they want to pass it, that he will be happy with whatever they choose to do. But we'll see if he continues to keep in that line, because, of course, his rhetoric and his comments on these things have such weight on Capitol Hill with Republicans that it could really jeopardize whether this bill is passed or not.
Yeah, but as you point out, it may not be so much about his perspective in terms of TikTok's effect on national security, but much more about not giving Facebook the upper hand here. Alana Treen, live for us there. Thank you so much.
Another parallel between Viktor Orban and Donald Trump we should talk about this morning on CNBC. Trump called Facebook and the news media here in the United States the enemy of the people. Now, he was talking about it in reference to a TikTok question, but let's watch this.
I consider Facebook to be an enemy of the people, along with a lot of the media. I think Facebook has been I think Facebook has been very bad for our country, especially when it comes to elections.
Now, he seems to be coming to TikTok's rescue a little bit with all of this talk of Washington of cracking down on TikTok. We should note, I mean, one place where you see a lot of MAGA propaganda is on TikTok these days, so perhaps that has something to do with it. But we should also note a number of press freedom organizations have blasted Viktor Orban's crackdown on the media. Of course, we saw that during the Trump administration here in the U.S. It sounds like another parallel.
So what's important about Orban's crackdown on the media and why it's an example for that minority of the Republican Party who want a more authoritarian system is that it wasn't done with censorship. So Orban didn't censor people. Instead, he used tactics. He used business pressure on advertisers who advertised in independent media. He would say, do you really want to place that advertisement because you might lose your government contract if you do? He used, he cut funding for all kinds of advertising that the government used to do. In other words, he put business pressure on media in order to put it out of business. And eventually, over a period of time, he succeeded. And that's something that's never been tried in the United States, certainly not with the federal government seeking to put media out of business on purpose. But it's something we could see. I mean, it's something that others have tried to imitate. Orban did it. The previous Polish government that lost the election in October tried to do it. Others have seen this as a kind of example.
Absolutely. There's no question about it. I mean, if you look at press freedom organizations, they have basically called Viktor Orban a press freedom predator in his country. So that's obviously something that should worry a lot of people. Art, Ann Applebaum, thanks as always. We appreciate it.